Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And especially good morning to all my Facebook followers that follow my sermons and always send me messages of inspiration and heartfelt greetings. Today's sermon is Cosmic Family. Being that I'm, as I am, you think, oh, cosmic, oh, this guy's Reverend Hippie over here today and his cosmic inspirations. But what I find so much nice about tie-dyes is that there's emergence of colors and things. It's kind of like the cosmos that has emergences and intertwined energies of many things that are always going on. You know, recently in the last decades, with the Hubble spacecraft and the many pictures of the universe, they've correlated that the pictures of the universe and the picture of the human brain are very much similar to each other. And there are interchanges and things that are going on. Interchanges that from the very smallest quirks and mesons and pions and things that building up through the atoms and particles and all the way to the vastness of the solar system and to our section of the galaxy that we're in, to the section of our galaxies that are within other galaxies, and that galaxy is in a section of other galaxies, and then it's in the section with the whole cosmos. And then there's so much interrelated on that, basically the external level, that is so assimilated with each other. But we also know that there's not just an external world, but there's an internal world. Our mind, our heart, our thoughts, our actions. These, they've even proven have direct relationship with the external in our own body when they're studying different health situations, that a person that meditates, a person that is prayerful, a person that is constantly doing good, that they can actually change even their DNA to allow them to become more healthy. And we know that within the body itself is made up of so many trillion cells, and that it's a composed unit that is always trying to live and get better. And if there's any damage or there's any misalignment, illness, the body is trying very hard to replenish that and make it function properly. And then we look to a larger level, we see the community and the countryside and the oceans. Even though there may be difficulties and problems with storms, problems with even now they're saying so much pollution is making so much problem. But overall, the whole planet is working to become healthy in itself. And it's going through its different cycles to do so. And then we can even begin to imagine then the sun itself goes through many kinds of cycles. And they realize that the sun is an influence on us. And then, of course, if a nearby star super explodes, well, we're wiped out because the cosmic radiation from an exploding star would just takes out everything. But on the internal side, there is yet much to be found. And when we look at the world of creation, we see the internal direction that things have, and there's an external body. Even to the smallest element It has an internal direction where the proton is always there at the core, and the electron is in a relationship with it. If the two of them didn't have that internal direction to do that, everything would break down. So there's something that's going on that's so fundamental in everything as we build up the ladder of creation. Our true father, when he was very young, was very interested in finding out answers. He wanted to have the doctorate degree in at least 5 different major subjects. I'm sure one was in biology and nature and the world around him, as he studied and investigated so much. When we read in Father's autobiography, it goes through many, many of his experiences that he had as a child in nature. Bottom line, he came to the very conclusion point. What is the relationship in this universe, in this cosmos? It is the parent-child relationship. And that is the most glorious and revolutionary idea that has ever come out. When Jesus came, he taught that God is our Father, and taught when his disciples or followers asked him, how do we pray? How do we understand this that you have? Because we can see in you, you have such a divine connection and such a divine wellspring of life and love. That started a revolution where people began to relate to God as Father. Before, the Buddhists and Hindus and many other religions, they thought, well, God's in a tree, and God's over here, and God's over there. Those were the days when the family had no parents. Now we see that in America, the struggle with families that only have one parent is pretty devastating and pretty hard to accomplish any kind of victory. But in the ancient days, when there was no parent at all, was even more darker. So now, true father comes and true mother comes as parents. Substantial parents that we could not just envision, but that we can really grasp hold and see the model of love and see the model of action. Many times people want something and they want it, you know, give me the truth. Just give me the facts. But if you take the facts of the many things that I just said and swallow them too quickly without thinking about it, it passes on. We have to really, savor every little piece. Sometimes when I eat popcorn or peanuts, I'll eat them one at a time. Really savor the taste. I have a hot dog. I'm not just going to hope like these guys with the big hot dog contest. They'll eat 50 hot dogs. By the time I would eat one, or not even just half of one. And that's just the way, to find internal truth, you have to digest the sweetness of the universe. I wish we knew Korean, because then we could understand, as Father wrote, the divine principle. As some Korean elders have explained to me, that the sung song and hung song, which is the internal and external positive, negative attributes of everything in the cosmos, is like the relationship of love. And the Father explained that this is the relationship of love. We know what is love. The love of a man and a woman. There's that internalness that is so bonded that you want to have that eternally. You want to have that feeling of give and take, reciprocal sharing of your whole cosmos and their whole cosmos, and become united. The Father explains in the principle that everything in creation has that kind of give and take action, like parents. So how, if we really look at nature and these things, there can be such a joy to see all these beautiful things and beautiful sweetness. Because what is sweetness? Sweetness is something that, you know, you think of something sweet, immediately you're salivating, you're tingling, you're open for excitement. And then even whether it's truth, whether it's action, you could see sports games, a great sport touchdown, a home run, a winning a slam dunk in basketball, a swimming, touch the goal and beat the world record. There's so many things that we can see that is all around us in this cosmos. This is our cosmic family. But also, too, we are not separated from our ancestors. As I read the one quote here, that those people that have passed on into the spiritual world of it, they can realize now that the veil has been taken away from them, that there's this physical earth and there's also a spiritual world. And the spiritual world is even more amazing than this world. Yet because of the fall, we can't connect these two. But they are willing to help. And God's whole plan, the whole plan of the Bible, the whole plan of Jesus saying, I have many things to tell you, but I can't reveal them to you now, because you are not ready to receive them. Now is the time when mankind is reaching the level where they can receive all these hidden truths of the cosmos. Why? Because we have a true cosmic family. We have a true home. And in that home can be enveloped this truth. We look and we see sometimes some people's, they get so desperate with their situation. They're so desperate because they haven't really tasted the sweetness of life. Maybe here and there they get some inspiration. But it's something that's fleeting. It's not connecting to their every moment. Buddha was asked, where is heaven? Heaven is here. What is here? Ram Dass said, here now. The moment now is the moment of heaven or confusion. So to put yourself into heaven is the striving point that we're trying to individually or as a family create. We see nations at war. We see the world in confusion and hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, fires. Yet amidst of it all is where are we standing? Sometimes when we see these catastrophes or difficulties, we go into action somehow by sending and offering our help, physically or monetarily. We become involved with that healing, like the individual body wants to heal something. We become involved in that. We also too want to be the healing essence, the healing factor to the whole world. Yet if we brush those aside and just walk on, it's left in a state where there's open sores, open wounds. And also those people without hope are suffering and in desperation. Sometimes people will go to alcohol, to drugs, to sports, or this and that to try to fill up this emptiness and become so confused and clustered with the things around them that they don't even see themselves anymore. And they used to say, do things in moderation. Moderation is something that is a parallel to having a stew. And everything in the stew is connecting together. You don't have one big huge ball of pepper over here, one big huge chunk of garlic, so that when you reach into the stew to eat the stew, it's just like, yeah! But no, each spoonful becomes a taste of the whole. Sometimes it's very forgotten, especially now on this political stage, where many people are just pointing out the peppers and the garlic and the untastefulness of certain situations, rather than trying to mix and to move together many things. So in this day, we want to know what it is that we should be listening to. In our hearts, we should listen to the bells. These bells are freedom bells that ring in the heart, not ring like the bells on the street corner, the bells in the town hall. Those bells were calling people together to start working as a community together. But we should also hear bells inside of ourselves and open our mind to goodness. As I'm saying, that now is the time when, because of our age, because of the time of true parents on the earth, is a time that our ancestors, good ancestors, and good prophets and people from the past want to speak to the people, want to speak to you and me, and open us up to new ideas, new inventions, new medical cures, new ways of sharing our joy with each other. Some people ask, where did you get the inspiration for writing this or that kind of musical song? Oh, I had a dream. It came to me in a dream. Or it was just a feeling that was surrounding me. And then I wanted to make that same expression. They ask an artist, how can you paint so well? How can you express what's inside of you to the canvas? Or the expression that you make, how does that promote and establish a message to someone else? So not only are we listening to bells of inspiration, but we're actually we ourselves are a bell, the inspiration to others. Many times being raised as a Catholic, one of the exciting times of the Mass was when they would ring the small little bells, and then people would be praying and praising God. And I always thought, this is interesting. Why are they ringing little bells? The bells then become that frequency of connection, that thread of connection, like the telephone wire, that it's a connection. A computer line, that's a connection. Inside of us, we have a frequency where we have our heart beating all the time. That's one frequency that's always going no matter what, and the blood going around. They say that when you go into outer space and there's absolutely no sound, that all you can hear is your heart and your blood going through your body. Because right now in this world, on the earth, there's so many other sounds that are going on that we don't listen to them. Unless you get to climb a mountain and become very spiritual and very meditative, then maybe you can listen to your heartbeat and whatnot. But other than that, going into space, you're forced to listen to it. But we ourselves are this instrument of vibrating and sending out messages. Many times some people say, well, look at how that person's dressed. What kind of message are they sending? Well, that person's a Jezebel. She's a prostitute. She's sending out strange innuendos about her. Or in the Muslim world, they have the women always wearing everything to become so modest. Why? Because they don't want women to be projecting any kind of strange feelings or strange frequencies in their feelings. And it should only be for husband and wife. In this day and age, we call what is freedom, and people will say, well, the freedom is I can do anything that I want. But in doing what you want, is that what you really want? The body itself wants to always be in a healthy state. Yet many times people, because of their broken heart or broken situation, fall into drugs or alcohol, and their body is now sending a message about their depression. Sometimes the alcohol and the drugs will get them out of that depression for a while. But if they do too much, then accidents, overdose, and then there's no more. Then they're in the spiritual world. Then they realize, what I've done, I've missed the opportunity, missed the chance of being that light. The one great song that I like so much is, "This little light of mine, let it shine." What are we saying? We want the frequency of the love that God has given to us to light the world in our special way. Like I wear this shirt. It's my special way of, I'm an exuberated, colorful guy. I don't know. I've always liked that. But even in middle school, when my fellow students would remember, I had 2 pairs of pants. One was gold and one was green. And there was a hole, so I decided, well, I'll sew one leg green and one leg gold. I'll be like a jester or something. They're 2 different. Then I have a shirt, and I'll split those between red and blue. Of course, I was kicked out of school that day at some point. And you can't do that. This is, of course, the year of Summer of Love, 1966, 67. And here in Ohio, there's no way that they could understand my expression that I wanted to make. I just wanted to make an expression of my happiness, and that's the way I felt. I guess nowadays someone wears some clothes like that to school. It's it happens all the time or something. But anyhow, as we become and look into this world, that this world is really broken. It's turned into like a jungle that is not a jungle that is united, a jungle that's harmonious, but it's turned into a jungle that is ravenous and only seeking for individual survival of their own, one's own self. Where, we look in nature, we see many times in nature characteristics that we have as people, where there's mother and father of a certain species will do anything to protect their children, even sacrifice their own lives. Then again, we look and see that there are some species that will just eat their own children. And so, to rearrange everything into an order, as many people interpret that the Bible will say that the lion will lie down with the lamb. What is the real meaning of that? It means that the internal natures will become harmonious with each other and be working together. Someday some people said, well, we should, if we have a zoo or anything like that, we should have open borders. But it is not quite the time yet to have open borders. There's too much wild nature going on. So when we hear the sounds of good people expressing good ideas and doing good things, we should join in. Some of the things about Christmas time, there's the ringing of the bells, and you get a whole choir of them. And there's hundreds of bells, people all ringing bells. It is such a sweetness to that you can't express in words. And it's the same with people. When people are doing good things, there's such a sweetness, there's such a uplifting joy and energy. You can almost, like, sometimes in the summer, when you feel the heat and the humidity, it's like you can just feel the thickness of the air. But also when people are doing good things, you can feel the thickness of love. So we want to become people that feel this energy of love around us. And we want it to bloom. To bloom means we want to come into another generation. So it's not only us producing this, but that now we're on a level of multiplication to make it bloom with other people and to become an expansion of this. But if we don't do that, and we're disharmonious, then we're expanding confusion, we're expanding other things. Sometimes I think about some of these groups that are out protesting, and they have so much hate and negativity. They're blooming, trying to bloom and to fester into blooming more hatred. And how can those things be changed? They can only be changed by people that are doing more positive things. This month of September coming, 40 years ago, some of us here, and in America, in 1976 was the 200th year anniversary of this country's birth. This is now 40 years later. This is a possibility, like Moses had 40 years in the desert, that he could come out and create a new Canaan. But Noah had 40 days of the confusion and problems, and that he could come and try to establish a new world. So some other things that weren't successful have prolonged that. and studying the deep internal truths of the Bible and the history of the providence that God has lived, we can know and understand then these mistakes and then how to correct them in our own selves. But even beyond that, this is a chance now here in America. These things can really evolve and change to a higher level. And then that the whole world can evolve and change to a higher level, so that within the next 4 years, 2020, which would be the anniversary of our true Father's 100th birthday, that cosmically, the cosmic family can really establish a kind of vibration of love that will resonate everywhere. As I mentioned, September 18th, 40 years ago was advertised the time of rebirth. It was held at the Washington Monument. And I will be posting, and there will be many posts coming soon, of this speech that Father Moon gave on September 18th. It was a time when Mao Zedong had just died. It was a time of transition of many different things going on in the world, and which way things would change, which door would now become open, or which door could be closed. At the time of this rally on September 18th, Mao Zedong was put into the ground. Symbolic that now is a time when a true resurrection of mankind and mankind's heart and his sharing could now begin to take a seed to blossom into something. At that rally, or speech, sermon, a proclamation, Father Moon talked about America, the world, is in a sickness. And he comes as a doctor. And when a doctor gives medicine many times on a sore or a cut, it becomes very painful. Why? Because the rottenness and the disruption have to be rooted out. When a firefighter comes to a house that's burning, he's not going to knock on the door, come in, wipe his shoes. No, he's going to rip the walls out and everything to stop that fire from any further destruction than what it's already caused. So now here in America, we can see that this nation is in a situation where it needs a doctor, it needs a firefighter. And each one of us need to stand in that position. We need to stand in our own self, in our own cosmic family, to be the doctor and firefighter, to be the one that on a daily basis we're reading Holy Scriptures, we're thinking of the world, thinking of our families, thinking of our community. And in this way, it will make the change. If all families in many, many locations are doing this, it becomes a great movement. It becomes something that's really changing many things. There's one hurricane now coming towards Florida. It's the first one this year, and then they haven't even had anything this category in several years. We need to almost think of ourselves as a hurricane. And what is a hurricane? A hurricane develops when it's the lowest of atmospheric pressures. So as in our scripture reading today, we talked about the being in the humble position. That is being in the low position. You remember from the Indiana Jones movie, from the Finding the Holy Grail. Only a penitent man in a humble way can pass. That we have to really take ourselves and not be, I am the shining star, I am the one that will show the way. We just have to be living and having the light and the frequency of being the way, of being the love. And that when we share with others, we're mixing our truths with the whole environment. We're not becoming like, this is my truth, like throwing in a great big ball of garlic, or this is this. No, we're merging all these things together. So my message today is, what is a cosmic family? A cosmic family is like the cosmos. It's in motion. But internally, we have to be in the motion of what a cosmic Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother are wanting us to be. And that is to be the example and to be the shiningness of what love is, what parental love is, what parental giving is. Always sacrificing, always giving. So that is my message today for Cosmic Family. Thank you.